Hey there guys, in today's video I'm going to show you a very simple PVC toy that could be built for a wide array of different animals. It's going to be a fun foraging toy that is easy to work with, easy to clean, could work for dogs, cats, birds, small rodents, but for the purposes of today's video I'm going to be building it for a reticulated giraffe. So if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, make sure to stick around because that's going to be coming up right after this. Hey there guys, this is Jack over at Hi Redbird, where I am tirelessly working to find new ways to make the keeping of exotic animals and pets more exciting, more affordable, and ultimately more enjoyable. Now, coming up with toys for exotic animals is often something that you have to figure out on your own, because if you have a more exotic animal, there isn't going to be an aisle at the pet store that gives you the toys that you need. But using basic parts, basic premises, you can put together toys that work for a wide array of different animals. You can see toys that would work for things like dogs, cats, maybe small parrots, and modify them, build them so that you get the exact same premise, but using materials of an appropriate size and strength that can be used for just about any animal. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm putting together this PVC foraging toy. I'm also going to walk you through some things that you could keep in mind if you wanted to change it for yourself. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into building this toy. So the construction of this toy is actually pretty simple. It's going to use parts that can all be found at your local hardware store. There's only a few things that you need, and it does come together very quickly. So you are going to need a piece of PVC pipe. Here I am using 2-inch PVC pipe, but you can obviously adjust this for the size of the animal that you are working with. I am using schedule 40 PVC pipe. You could go up if you wanted that to be a little more durable. But you're also going to need 2 end caps that correspond to the pipe that you are using. For something like a small parrot, maybe you'd only want to go to like 3/4 inch pipe. But since this is going to be for a larger animal, I'm going to be using that 2-inch pipe. And of course, that small parrot could still use this 2-inch pipe as well. Now I am going to need a stainless steel eye bolt and a corresponding locking nut. Now since I make so many things for parrots, am geared on using everything stainless steel. Plus, if I wanted to use this for things like parrots, I could always disinfect it and then be able to give it to the parrots. But if I used things like galvanized hardware, I would not feel comfortable doing that. So make sure you try to think about what animals you're going to be giving this to. I am going to need a drill bit that is going to correspond to the size of the shaft of the eye bolt that I am using. I'm going to use a wrench to hold that locking nut in place, and I'll use a screwdriver just to give myself a little bit of added leverage. Now normally I do like to use this very well-loved, well-worn pair of pliers because I get really good grip with it. But unfortunately I cannot get it the full length that I need to center it on this piece of PVC pipe. So I'm going to use that wrench instead. I also have a hole saw bit that is going to be made for PVC. You can, of course, use a hole saw bit with a larger tooth. You are just going to have to do some more work cleaning up the edges. I've shown you guys how to do that before. And then, of course, a drill and some PVC cement. And that's going to be the only parts that you need to put together this toy. Well, except for the fact that if you're like me, putting together a toy like this, you need to use your fun scrap piece of lumber that you use to protect your dining room table. I build these toys on my dining room table. My partner would absolutely lose his mind if I drilled a hole into our dining room table. So I have that piece of lumber just as a safety precaution. Please do your best to use that as a safety precaution as well. As you guys can see, as you're drilling through that PVC pipe, you do get some little bits that we're going to want to make sure we rub down, get any burrs, get anything off. We don't want to create anything that could be potentially ingested by an animal. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the locking nut in place along with my eye bolt. And I'm going to use that screwdriver just to give myself a little bit of added leverage. Now, typically you can find eye bolts with a corresponding nut, but if it's built like this, that nut is going to be inside of the toy. You're not going to have the ability to tighten it up again and again once we put the end caps on, which means eventually your animal can play with this, spin it to the point that it does fall off of that nut. So using a locking nut helps to prevent that. Now, of course, we're also going to go through, we need to create some openings that our animals can use to forage. The fun part about this PVC bit is that it does a really clean, really nice job of creating these holes in this PVC. The downside, if you can call it a downside, is that at the end of this video, I was actually ready to make snow globes because it created so much dust. Now, luckily, just rubbing the inside of my finger was enough to get off any burrs that were in that hole. So that's going to be a very, very safe way to build these toys for animals. We want to make sure there's nothing, again, that could be an ingestion hazard, a safety hazard. But it does create a little bit of a mess. Now, when you are placing your holes, you have the opportunity to pick and choose where you want those holes to go. And you can put them just about anywhere, but I would encourage you to put them in just a little bit from the ends. That way they won't be covered by the end caps that we're going to use. You want to make sure that you have them in different places as well. You can put one hole in, you can put multiple holes in. Obviously, there's going to be pros and cons to both approaches. The more holes you put in, the more places for you to put food items, the easier it's going to be to clean, but the easier it is going to be for your animal to figure it out as well. Versus if you just did one hole that was offset to one side, your animal is going to have to work a lot harder to get those food items out of there. But as you guys can see, I put one hole just on the sides of either side of this, pretty much equally spaced. So this is going to be a fun toy that's going to be good for animals who are just starting to figure it out. I'm going to use a little bit of this PVC cement, and I am going to just glue those end caps in place. Now, obviously, before you offer this to an animal, you're going to want to wash it down really nicely. You're going to want to make sure that that PVC cement has adequate time to cure. You don't want an animal potentially ingesting that, especially if you're giving this to something like parrots that can be a little more sensitive to fumes. You don't want there to be any fumes from that PVC glue. But once this toy is all put together, you get the joy of giving it to an animal who can enjoy it. So here, like I said, I am giving this to a reticulated giraffe. There are some pieces of browse that he enjoys inside that toy. So this is a good opportunity for him to try to use that long prehensile tongue to reach inside the toy to get away some of those pieces of food. Now this is part of why I wanted to have two of those holes, one on either side. Since this is a new toy for him, I don't want him to get frustrated. I do want him to be able to pull away some of those food items. And remember, you do want to make sure that you give your animals the opportunity to succeed with their toys. If they are too difficult, they're not going to have fun with them. But if you make it to where they have to work a little bit, but eventually they succeed, they're going to have a really good time. I do want to thank you all so much for choosing to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. If you have not already, please subscribe to the Hi Redbird YouTube channel. That way you don't miss out on any of these fun videos of working with a variety of different animals. Again, thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. I do need to say a special thank you to my Patreon patrons. Not only do they support the Hi Redbird YouTube channel, but they do get special bonuses and additional content as well. I am also very thankful of my Hi Redbird channel sponsors. If you would like to find out more information, you can find that in the description section of this video. Thank you all so much.